Okay, students, welcome to your first free response practice for the AP Calculus exam. This one's actually from last year. This is problem number 6. I'm going to have you work in groups of 2 or 3. No calculator. You're not allowed to calculate on any part of this portion that we're going to go over today. You don't have to do section C. Don't have to do section D. We're going to set timer for 7 minutes, and after 7 minutes, you should be ready to check your answer. Okay, go. Okay, the 7 minutes is up. The first question says find h prime of 2. You notice that the function h is twice differentiable, and that g of 2 is h of 2, which is 4. So that means you can take the derivative of h at 2 and you get 4, okay? I'm sorry, the value of h at 2 is 4, okay? So the function's defined at that spot. It says this is the line tangent to the graph. Well, if this is the line tangent, then this slope is the same as the derivative. So simply h prime of 2 is equal to 2/3. That's all you had to do. If you got that, you get 1 point. Okay? So for letter A, h prime of 2 is equal to 2/3. Why? Because that's the slope of the line. For B, it says there's a different function, a, and it's given by that. Write an expression for a prime. Hopefully you knew you had to use the product rule in this situation. If you knew you had a product rule, give yourself a point. So we have a prime of x is equal to 9x squared times h of x plus 3x cubed times h prime of x. Okay? So that's what you have in that situation. So if you knew to use so this is worth 1 point here. If you have the product rule, that's worth 1 point. If you got that expression, that's 1 point. If you knew to use product rule, it's a point. If you got that expression, it's a point. And if you got a prime of 2, that's a point as well. And so that's going to be 9 times 2 squared times h of 2, which is 4, plus 3 times 2 cubed times h prime of 2. And you should come out with a number of, I did this work earlier, you should get 160. 160. And that would be worth a point then as well. So 4 points from that section from those couple problems. There's a total of 9 for each free response. So between C and D, you got 5 more points there. We're not, you can actually do both of those, but we're not going to spend our time with them today. We might just get a little bit too confused. So press pause and spend 7 minutes on your next problem. Go. And I should say for the next problem, we're not going to do letter C. So the first problem says let k of x equal f of g of x, find the equation for the line tangent. So in order to find the equation for a line tangent, you need 2 things. You need a point and you need a slope. In order to find the point, we have x is 3, so you have to be able to determine f of g of 3. Well, that's composition. G of 3 is 6, and then you do f of 6, which is 4. So you get 4 for your point. How do you find your slope? You need to take the derivative. In order to do the derivative, you have to use a chain rule. You have f of u and you have g of x. So you have f prime of u and you have g prime of x. And so you get g prime of x times f prime of g of x. So if you want to find the slope, you have to do g prime of 3 times f prime of g of 3. Well, g prime of 3 is 2 times g of 3 is 6, and then f prime of 6 is 5. So 5. So the slope is, in fact, 10. So it says, write an equation for line tangent. Y minus 4 is equal to 10 times x minus 3. You can leave that as your answer in the AP exam. They'll give you full credit. Or y is equal to 10x minus 26. So as they score this kind of a problem there, they give you 2 points for coming up with, or a total of 3 points coming up with that. So you get 1 point for knowing this derivative formula, and then you get 2 points for coming up with the equation for the line tangent, because it required the slope and the point. Question B is very similar. In this situation, you have to use the quotient rule, and you have g prime of 1 times f of 1 minus g of 1 times f prime of 1. all divided by f of 1, that quantity squared. So so if you did that part correctly, just that, you get 2 points out of that guy right there. Now we want to try to actually evaluate that. G prime of 1, get rid of some of these up here. G prime of 1 is 8. F of 1 is -6. So we got 8 times -6 minus, and then you have G of 1 times F prime of 1. So you have 2 times 3. All divided by the bottom squared. So F of 1 squared. What is F of 1? F of 1 is -6. And you get -48 minus 6 over 36, which is -54 over 36, which is -3/2. So that would be 1 additional point. So 2 for the derivative formula, 1 for that, and then we saw the 3 points up above. So that's a total of 6 on this one. So you have 6 points there on that problem. The last one in this situation, the AP scored out of 3, and each problem is 9. Okay, if you flip it over, you don't want to do letter D, but do the others. Set your timer for 7 minutes. Go. Okay, now you've had a check. You see that the first question says justify your answer, and you know that a relative minimum happens when f prime changes from negative to positive. So you're going to look, where does f prime change from negative to positive? That happens right here. We're looking at f prime changes negative positive right there, so at 1. So the answer is relative max minimum at x is equal to 1 because f prime changes negative to positive. And that's going to be your justification in that situation. And so your justification is you write that down and you get the answer correct. That's worth a grand total of 1 point. Congratulations, you got yourself 1 point. There's a few more to get. If we look at example B here, B says explain why there must be a value C for between -1 and 1 such that the second derivative is equal to 0. Well, if you look here, the second derivative is going to be the derivative of the first derivative. So you can see that f prime of -1 is 0 and f prime of 1 is 0. So if we look at that average rate of change, you have f prime of 1 minus f prime of -1 over 1 minus -1. You have 0 minus 0 over 2, which is 0. So that is the use of the mean value theorem. Mean value theorem guarantees a value C in the interval -1, 1 such that, in this case, the derivative of the derivative, f double prime of C, is in fact equal to 0. So they really want pretty much what I've got there. They would give you 1 point for having that part, and then they would give you 1 point for your answer. The mean value theorem guarantees us. We're up to 3 points so far. Letter C in this situation, I really like this problem. It says that h of x is equal to the natural log of f of x, and you're trying to find h prime of 3. So if h of x is equal to the natural log of f of x, and trying to find the derivative, you need to use the chain rule. And so you have the natural log of u, and you have f of x. Derivative of natural log of u is 1 over u. Derivative of f of x is f prime of x. So you have f prime of x over f of x. That's the derivative. That's equal to h prime of x. And if you got that correctly, you get 2 points for that guy. Now it's wondering what is h prime of 3. So you got f prime of 3 divided by f of 3. And if you look at that, f prime of 3, f prime of 3 is in fact 1/2. F of 3 is 7. So we got 1/2 divided by 7. And you get 1/14. So you get another point for doing that correctly. So you had 2 and 1, so it's a total of 3 there. And then 2 and 1, so a total of 6 so far. The last one's then worth 3. For the last problem, I want you to go ahead and scratch off letter D. But go ahead and see if you give ABC a shot. Set your timer for about 8 minutes to see what you come up with there. Okay, you got through the last one. Letter A says find f prime of x. Hopefully you see, use the chain rule. We have u to the 1/2, and we've got 25 minus x squared. So 1 over 2 roots of u and negative 2x. Multiply those, the 2's cancel. You get negative x over the root of 25 minus x squared. That is, in fact, f prime of x. If you did that correctly on the AP exam, you were awarded 2 points for doing that correctly. 2 points. Way to go. Letter B says write an equation for the line tangent to the graph of x at x equals negative 3. So you need 2 things. You need slope and you need a point. Well, you know it's at negative 3. So in order to come up with the y value, I plug it back into here. And you get 25 minus 9 is 16. Square root is 4. So that's your point. How do you find the slope? You take the negative 3 and plug it into there. And you get 3 on top, and you're going to get 4 on bottom, so 3/4. So your equation for your line is y minus 4 is equal to 3/4 times x plus 3. Folks, if you didn't put it in slope-intercept form, don't worry about that. They'll give you full credit for that. If you did, it's y minus 16/4 is equal to 3/4 x plus 9/4. Add that together, we get y is equal to 3/4 x plus 25 over 4. If you got that correct, you do in fact get 2 points. You get 1 point for that correct equation. You get 1 point if you can come up with the correct slope as well. 1 point for the correct slope. So you're up to 4 points so far. The last problem that I have to put in my recording, and I'll be able to teach my class that's currently looking at me right now wondering what I'm doing, is we want to be able to decide, is g continuous at x is equal to negative 3? Do you remember that in order to be continuous, continuity, you have 3 requirements? G of negative 3 exists. The limit as x goes to negative 3 exists. And then finally, those 2 are the same. G of negative 3 is equal to the limit as x goes to negative 3. That those are in fact the same. We're going to show that all those cases are true and that this is continuous. G of negative 3. This one you can all do. Notice, in order to find g of negative 3, you take negative 3 and plug in for f. So we're looking at f of negative 3. You've already determined that. It came out to be 4. So check mark on the first one. Second one, in order for a limit to exist, the limit from the left must be the same as the limit from the right of the function. So we're going to check that. If you check the left part, you're looking at this. And that is in fact 4. If you check it from the right, you are checking this, which is going to be negative 3 plus 7, which is 4. And finally, look, those both came out to be 4. So you've said that the limit as x goes to negative 3 of the function is in fact equal to g of negative 3, which is in fact 4. Yes, it is in fact continuous. And so, all those pieces we've seen before, you are capable of doing. It doesn't mean that they're easy. You get a total of 2 points for that one as well. So 2 points. You get 1 for identifying that the function value would be 4, and then 1 for showing both the left and the right comes out to be 4, and knowing that it's continuous. So 2 more points there. Hope it went really well. Hope you have good scores. Hope you're not too scared of what you're going to see.